Hi everyone. So I'm just going to give you a little background to what I do, and then we're going to hop over to a PowerPoint. Hopefully the tech will work, and I'm going to give you 10 common mistakes that people make on LinkedIn and how to rectify them. So I got into LinkedIn about 12 years ago. I was invited by a contact and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And I gradually pressed every button, and I have had my longest standing client on LinkedIn for over a decade. They're a big firm of accountants. They have 12 offices across the UK, and I manage their LinkedIn contact. And I've trained hundreds of people over the years how to use LinkedIn to help build their brand reputation and also to increase the number of leads they have. Now, you will get people training on LinkedIn who teach you how to get leads, but you have to remember also that even if you do have a full pipeline of people that you are engaging with, it's about your brand reputation, and people will check you out on LinkedIn. I have somebody I know who is very much older, and she goes into LinkedIn. She checks out every single client before they start the conversation with that client. And, you know, it's a great way to check people out to see if they really do what they say they do. So let's go into these mistakes, and I'll tell you a few stories as we go through. It would be useful to know, well, it would help if I shared my screen. That would help. And I'm going to select the right window. And here we are. Hopefully you can see my presentation. And it's called 10 Common LinkedIn Mistakes. Right, so the first mistake is not to have a banner image. So this is an image across the top. You can see that I've got this screenshot in edit mode. That's why we have this little blue pencil on the screen here. Now make use of this. Mine says effective online communications. Not only do I help people with LinkedIn, I also help people build strategies to get their message out to the right people in the right places. For example, over the weekend, I was helping build a digital strategy for a tea company because they were pitching to Ocado, and they needed to have slides showing what they're going to do for Ocado on their digital marketing. So that's what I help people do. I help people build strategies. I've also written for them a training document, which is how they're going to use LinkedIn to give out samples of tea, a very innovative strategy that we've developed there. So make sure you use Canva and get that banner image sorted out. And the great thing is you can change this. So you could have one for every month of the year. It doesn't have to be the same one. Some people use photographs. That's absolutely fine. Don't make it a sales call. You know, it's not really for selling. People will see through that straight away, and you'll come across as looking desperate rather than helpful. Also, you want to make sure you've got your headline sorted out, which is the words underneath your name there. You can actually write an awful lot more in that box than you used to be able to. It used to be limited to 120 characters. If you have trouble fleshing that out, use your mobile phone, because actually you can write a whole paragraph if you edit your profile on your phone. Next. Hopefully people can see this. The other thing to do is to make sure you're using the new featured section. Now, this is a collection of either posts you've done on LinkedIn, articles, links to your website or maybe your YouTube channel. It gives people a way of clicking on, if you click on those images you see in front of you. For instance, I've got this LinkedIn image size guide. If you click on that, it then pops out in front of you and you can see the whole document or the whole post. So for some clients, I've got a wine client, we put up information about the wines he's going to be talking about on his next online wine tasting. Very good, very useful. You can mix and match this over the months, so don't keep it static. Also, it looks really, really good on mobile. So it's a very simple part of the platform to use. The images don't always come out how you want them to be. Things tend to get cut off, so you might have to play around with how you create your PDFs, for instance. But do play around with that. It's worthwhile doing. You can reorder them as well. That's pretty simple. The other thing is not asking for recommendations. A very good idea is to invite your clients, your contacts, anybody who you've done maybe some advice with, to recommend you on LinkedIn, because you can scroll down and see whether people actually are saying good things about you. It's a great way of showcasing those kind words that your clients have said about you. And then you can use those recommendations, you can copy and paste them and pop them on your website. So that fills out your testimonials on your website as well. Oh, yeah, a big bugbear of mine is too many hashtags. So one of my clients is in the property space. She specializes in property tax and the accounting functions surrounding property developments. It's a technical area. They're a boutique consultancy. So this has got probably the maximum number of hashtags that I would include on a post. The thing about a hashtag is develop one for your own company, for your own brand. So you might put hashtag, I don't know, and your company name, and then people can go and click through. If you use it repeatedly, they can go and click through all the content that you have the hashtag attached to. If you think about it, hashtags work both ways. They allow you to search for example, posts that have got a property hashtag. Well, that takes people away from your post, unless all your posts are tagged with property. So in some ways, people aren't using LinkedIn hashtags like they do on Instagram, where you're being found by a hashtag. This will take people away and show other people's posts that are attached to this hashtag. So I would very much develop my own. So that's number 4. Number 5 is mentioning too many or irrelevant people. There are LinkedIn pods, which is a way of getting your posts seen by more people. I don't know how beneficial this is if you're wanting to grow your business. Sometimes things lure you in and it becomes a bit of a vanity metric. Obviously, some things you want to be seen by hundreds and hundreds of people, but in many ways we'll come on to the more important part of LinkedIn, which is the ability to direct message people. Do not stuff your posts with every single person that you know on LinkedIn. It simply doesn't work. It looks, once again, a little desperate. Now, if you're running a networking or a meeting online or offline, hopefully in the future, I would start to tag people, but you really got to engage your brain. How many people really should be mentioned in your post? Right, failing to interact. If you think about it, you think about the end goal that you have for LinkedIn, and maybe that's growing your client base. Think about your ideal client and who that is and how you would like to make it easy to have a conversation. Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Workweek, defines one measure of success as being the number of difficult conversations an entrepreneur is prepared to have. Well, what I'm all about is not having difficult conversations. It's about having easy conversations. So if you are not necessarily stalking, but following somebody on LinkedIn, then go and interact with their posts, because you will then be seen. They'll think, oh, actually, I've seen that person interact with my posts 2 or 3 times. Now, don't make it creepy, because obviously that's not the idea. You want to make it so that it's highly relevant. You're adding something beneficial. So there's been quite a lot of interaction on this post. This is just a random post I picked up yesterday to demonstrate the interaction that can happen on LinkedIn. So remember to interact. Add notes to your invitations to connect. You know, LinkedIn is like the old-fashioned Rolodex. I have a very long career. I spent a lot of time working in the city in London, and I had a great big book which had all the people I needed to talk to already printed in it. It was ever so useful. It was the Pension Funds Handbook. Gosh, that was an exciting read on a Monday morning. I would have loved LinkedIn then. You know, and it's easy to have conversations with chief executives when you work for a big brand. If you work for a household name, it's not difficult to get past the gatekeepers. Whereas if we want to try and get hold of somebody, we want to reach out. Now, find a reason why you want to connect with that person. Here's a very stock sort of message. Hi, David, I'm looking to extend my network with business professionals in Welling. I hope you'll accept my invitation to connect. You can put a link in there. That link now goes through to your website. It didn't used to. So make sure you put an invitation, add a note to an invitation to connect. Do not send out more than 50 invitations a day, because otherwise you will get your ability to send out invitation requests blocked by LinkedIn. It's much better to have a highly relevant network than a vast network, because seriously, most professional salespeople cannot deal with more than about 100 leads at any one time. I'm just going to have a swig of water, excuse me. And we're on to number 8. Now, once somebody has invited you to connect, or you have invited them to connect, and you are connected, then thank them. And the other thing to do, if somebody invites you to connect and you say, thank you for your invitation to connect, say this: how can I help? Why did they invite you to connect? Maybe they're just building their network. But seriously, it's a really good idea to ask them why they wanted to connect with you. Sometimes they won't reply. Sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm just building my network. But actually, I got a client from saying, how can I help? Very nice client, monthly retainer, will last probably 4 or 5 months. Absolutely lovely people to deal with, just from saying those 4 words. So that's one of my top tips. And then number 9 is not sending something useful. So you don't, people invite you to connect, you press the button on your phone. Do you go across to their profile? No. So maybe what you do is you send them something useful. Because if you look at the bottom of the message here, I can send an image, I can send a link, I can send a GIF if I've got one, or an emoji. I can even send a video, or I can send them a voice message. Now, that's quite bold, but if you're very good at it and you've honed it, very good way to take the conversation further, because what you want to do is to get that person off LinkedIn and into your own marketing ecosystem. And finally, failing to use events. I've done events on LinkedIn. Here's a screenshot from one. I did a LinkedIn Power Hour on the 5th of November. You can see that this is a great way to reach out to people. And on this one, it says 47 whatever number of attendees. It was a great event, and I'll be running one in January. So if there are any questions, I think I'm now going to stop sharing this. I have a document which has got all these things on it. I will send that in the WhatsApp group later on, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Very happy to have a one-to-one Zoom where you can ask me specific questions about your LinkedIn profile. I have a LinkedIn profile writing service, various levels, and an online course to teach you all these things in detail, how to grow your business using LinkedIn. So I'm stopping sharing. Hopefully I'm back in the room and you all heard that. There we go. Fiona, are you there?
I am here. You've got some questions in the Q&A. Can you see the Q&A section, or do you want me to read them out for you?
Let me just click onto the Q&A. Right, so there's a couple of questions here. I've got one from Ian which says, what's the best way to introduce two unconnected colleagues on LinkedIn? If you go to somebody's profile, you can have if you're connected to both of them, you could have a group chat. If you click on messages, then you enter the first person's name and then the second person's name. You can then introduce people like that. There is an introduction button which is